Listen here, I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know what my name is. I just wanna end up famous sitting I'm so serious, probably why they be so damn curious. They furious. Easy got these ladies on some silly shit. Now what the dilly is, I'm going all out. Hey, I'm the talk of the town while y'all just saw a mouth. Here's a story about my quest to be rich. I'm like Beyonce and Kelly on some Destiny shit. Mr. Six Mile, look me up, I'm some with a dream. Got my city like an addict, guess it's some with a fiend. For my team, anything less is uncivilized. Surprise, I'm seeing this world through clear eyes. And haters only make me more inspired to bless. On the clock right now, what the hell is the next? Like that feeling in your chest when you're ready to leave. Like that memory you had, you just couldn't believe. And we always got a little ammunition for y'all, cause we remember when they wouldn't even listen at all. Listen here, I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know my name.
In 97, no Gunston, it's me. These streets made a natural born hustler. Believe me, drop real with it. That was my first EP. Grind harder than granted, but made it look easy. Take it to the top, that was the plan. Now I'm known worldwide from Detroit to Japan. 14 years span, fuck hot nigga, I'm scorching. I done got the fame, now I want the fortune. 6 albums deep, yes, I grind harder. But I don't Zeno Brown, the G is my Carter. I've been hood with some dropping bombs. Now I want white man, rich stocks and bonds. Want my ice cream and cake on the golden plate. Trying to make bread to have my great grandkids straight. Yes, sir. I got my vision clear. Fast lane, switching gears. Make sure you dig it, yeah. Never will I live in fear.
Listen here, I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know what my name is. I just wanna end up famous sitting there.
Once again, we back live. Welcome to another episode of the Jackson Report. This time we kind of improvised and switched it up for y'all. So we coming to y'all from the castle as opposed to the dugout in Dale Valley. This week is so much I want to discuss with y'all, but I had to start off this week with addressing something. It's not always the feasible thing to do to work with people that look just like me. So I felt I need to address something because I had somebody call me and literally cut into me about who my producers were, who I'm working with in doing this podcast. So to that person, here go your 15 minutes. I'm going to give it to you right off rip. We're going to start the show with giving you your 15 minutes. The thing of it is just like this. When you run into some people and they believe in your vision just as much, if not more than you do, it's common sense to work with them. And anybody that really know me knows that I don't judge people based off the color of their skin, but I judge them off the character they come at me with. So to that person who probably at this point now got a group hating with them, set your ass down like my sister used to say. Set your ass down and be humble. People hate when you get in a position to progress or you think of something and they feel like they should have thought of it. People hate that. This was a vision that came together in my boy's backyard. And the person that's producing it and behind it happens to be of Jewish descent. So, To that person that's hating, I say this. With no offense to anybody that's watching this that may be of this same descent, but I'm in a position where I can't lose because I'm backed by Jews. They say Jews exploit our talents. Well, here's another talent that's getting exploited. But I guarantee you this. You'll be seeing it every week, 6 p.m. every Tuesday. So go tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend to keep tuning in to the Jackson Report. Because some weeks I may be playing with y'all and having fun. And then other weeks like this week, I'm going to have a lot to discuss with y'all. It's been like a real chaotic week this week. It's been a week of a lot of different changes. Like changes in job description, people changing scenery, people moving in and out of state. It's been a week of change, and it's kind of been like a roller coaster week. A lot of improvising going on this week. Or like Chuck just said, a lot of improvisation. Well, improvisation. Let me say the word right. See, y'all got to bear with me because I'm sipping some good stuff this week. But I'm going to get to the topics that I need to hit on with y'all. And like first and foremost, I feel like talking about energy. Because the fact that I started off today speaking to a person who was hating, that brings me to a good point. Sometimes you got to watch the energy that you allow to be around you. You got to watch the energy that you involve yourself in. Because if you're a person like myself who always coming to the table with positive energy and you always seeing the good in everything, then you don't need them dark clouds over your life. You don't need the Debbie Downers, or you don't need the cynical people coming into your circle and always trying to throw their ideas off on you or making you feel some kind of way because your thoughts may not always line up with what they thinking. So that means a lot to me, like a person's energy. Like if you come to the table and I'm around you, and the minute I'm around you, I know I came in the building, or I might have came into the party and I'm having a good time, and then I run into you and you just like everything is wrong, then you one of them people I'm going to try to stay away from. Because I got a light that's shining right now. I mean, I'm sitting in a position to where every week I get to talk to more and more people. I get to spread my viewpoints on more and more people. So that kind of made me think this past week, now it's time for me to start using the platform to be more of an influencer than I ever was. They say with great power comes great responsibility. So I guess now I'm finna step up into the ranks of being responsible and having y'all actually leave this mug, or when it's done and y'all done tuning in, sitting back thinking about something that's going to make you go out in your community, wherever you are, viewing this, and try to spark a change. Spark some kind of change. Whether it's going out and feeding the homeless, going out getting people to vote, or going out and rallying around to do something that's sparking change in your neighborhood. Maybe it's cleaning up the neighborhood. I saw an article in Detroit where the city is paying people to clean up the alleys or something like that. I'm not going to quote it because I just was glancing through. I saw that article and I was like, you know what? That's kind of dope. It's even a testament to myself. Like, I'm not just speaking to y'all. I'm speaking to myself when I say sparking a change. Because the Jackson Report is not only going to be just a podcast where I get up here every week and I'm speaking to y'all, but I'm finna start getting off in the community. So I'm going to talk with my producers after this is over with. After this week's show, I'm going to sit down with my producers and talk about maybe going and feeding the homeless, or maybe going to some random school and giving away backpacks and school supplies or something like that, because it's time to start doing community outreach. Like, I've been reading so much stuff over this past week, so many things that's been coming up in the news. Like, I really, today, and this one for the ladies out there, I guess some of the women's rights is moving around, but I just read an article to where they just passed it in Oklahoma to where now women are allowed to be topless in public, which means not only will you go to the pool and see some good two-piece swimsuits, you might see some good racks as well. And I mean, it's kind of controversial because in the article I was reading, it was like they was fearing that, you know, women would be walking around topless in school zones. But they still passed the law. So I heard it's like passed in 5 different states. I think it's Oklahoma, Kansas, Utah, New Mexico, and Wyoming. But it all sparked from a case in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I actually go to Colorado like once a year, once maybe every 2 years, and visit my folks up in Colorado. So I'm kind of looking forward to when the weather breaks next year to go up to Colorado. And hey, I'm a man. Like, I like boobies. I see Chuck smiling back there while I'm talking about boobies. So, who doesn't like boobies? Like, what man in the world doesn't like boobies? So that kind of lets me know where a lot of guys is going to be trying to retire now. It's 5 different states, fellas. Of course, Wyoming, I've never really heard of nobody being in Wyoming other than a good friend of my stepmom. So I don't think a lot of men will go there. But as far as Kansas and Utah, maybe, Oklahoma. So now it got me to thinking, as I'm always thinking, it's going to be real different going into the WinStar now because they passed a law to where it's legal in public. So not only is being topless legal in Oklahoma, I believe marijuana smoking is legal too, and carrying a gun. So I saw a meme on Facebook or something like that where the girl, she was leaned over the rail, she had her boobies flashing, she had a gun in her hand, and she was smoking a good one. So Oklahoma might be the place to be for all you ladies who've been complaining and can't wait to get home from work to pop that bra off. And not to be too explicit, because maybe I got some teenage listeners or teenage viewers this week, but hey, I believe the law is if you're over 10 years old or something like that, I saw, which is kind of controversial and tricky because if a 12-year-old was walking topless, then as a grown man, you don't want to be looking that way. You want to steer clear of that area. But yet and still, the law's passed. So for all you women out there that's been looking for good vacation spots, there you have it. Find you somewhere in Oklahoma to go when the weather breaks, and you could be just as free as your husband. Now you can't complain when your dude is out and it's hot and you take his shirt off. You can take your shirt off too. Of course, I don't know how many men out there are going to be too happy about that if you're on vacation with your wife and she flashing boobies at the poolside. So, but also this week, I was looking over some things, and I really wanted to talk with y'all about how this quarantine and this whole pandemic been affecting relationships. Oh boy, last week we touched on it a little bit. We touched on the online dating side of it all. But now we finna get to the meat of it. When you in that household and you've been quarantined with this same person, and we've been under stay-at-home order since like March. It's been off and on since March. Everybody been at stay-at-home. So if you don't got to go outside, then it's basically said to stay in the house, although I'm still wondering who's really abiding by it. But how has quarantine been really affecting a lot of these relationships? Because just personally, I've been seeing some of the most different events occurring when it comes to relationships during this quarantine. You got people realizing that they didn't like this person as much as they thought they did. You got some people that's realizing that maybe they rushed into something. And then you got to wonder if it's like that for just a relationship. And it's just a person you may be dating or you may only been with for a couple months. Imagine what it's like for people that's been together years. You would think that after being with somebody so many years, it would just become normal, that you could just deal with each other. But we seeing in this pandemic that a lot of people either don't love themselves or they just running into this wall of being stuck in the house for so long that it's starting to drive them crazy, to the point of where you got couples arguing over stuff they wouldn't normally argue over. You got people ready to break up. You got people ready to file divorces. You got domestic violence going up in some areas of the country. So it's kind of made me wonder, like, geez, being single might not be a bad thing, at least until this quarantine and this pandemic is over with. It's like been really, really tripped out some of the stuff I've been seeing, like on Facebook and just in like everyday life, like stuff that's been going on around me. And I said like this week, I was going to really do it different, especially since we coming from a different location this weekend. And I myself, I'm sitting back and I'm feeling kind of comfortable in this new location. So I hope it look It's looking good to y'all in y'all living rooms. I'm coming and looking at y'all. I'm looking at y'all. Am I looking good to y'all this week? Because, Chuck and them, they did a real good job with improvising and putting this all together because we want to keep it looking good. We want to keep y'all tuning in. So we couldn't just record anywhere because had it been left up to me, I'm ghetto with it. Hey, let's just record in front of this tree. We can lean on the hood of a car. But nah, unfortunately, Faust Media and my producers was like, yeah, it's not going to look professional then. We just going to have to sit you down this week. So shouts out to Chuck and Gary because they put this all together like in the last maybe 4 to 5 hours so we can get it together and come kick it with y'all again for another hour like we always do every week. But it's like a lot of stuff I really do want to touch on. Like when I got to revert back to the effort thing. Because this week, you really find out who really your true friends are. I guess when people think you may have hit a down moment or you may have hit one of those points in your life where stuff may be a little rocky, you really find out who on your team. So you got to really watch the effort that you allow and the energy that you allow to be around you at times like that. And y'all got to bear with me because, I'm enjoying sipping this cup because there's some good stuff in this cup. But, like I was saying with the energy thing, you could be the most positive person in the world and you could have a plan, your plan be going good. You meet that one person that's been watching your plan come together for the longest, and now they want to bring their bold energy into your plan, and it could throw off your whole plan. It could throw off everything that you had visualized in the direction that you saw yourself going in. So you really got to be careful, and you got to be cognizant of who you allowing to step within your circle. Because, I've seen it over my lifetime, and I'm not going to tell you how many trips around the sun I've taken, but I've seen it in my lifetime to where it could be that one friend that get everybody locked up on some stuff nobody knew was going on. They just happened to be with that one friend. And that one friend wasn't friend enough to tell everybody else what they had going on. And now you got felonies or prison terms and whatnot because of this one person. So you got to watch the energy that you allow to be around yourself, which brings me to the other point I wanted to make this week, effort. Effort can go a long way. I could talk about effort for 2 hours possibly. I could do 3 different episodes about effort alone. But I'm going to try to sum it up. It's like you got to watch the effort that people put into you. If a person say they your friend or a person say they support you, then the effort will be there. You shouldn't have to reach out to them to show your effort and keep reaching out hoping that they going to show some effort in return. Nah. It should just happen. It should just come as a natural thing. So if a person really is for you or really supporting you or really rocking with you, the effort will be there. They'll be tuning in. Like all of the people that say they love me from Austin to Detroit to North Carolina to Denver to Chicago. I mean, I got family all over the United States. It should be a valiant effort to show me support because I'm showing everybody support with the platform that I put together. I put together this platform so I could do stuff like random shouts out to different people. Like I could just randomly sit here and shout out Call Tequila. Shouts to them. I could shout out my boy Danny with his book To the Moon We Go. I could shout out my cousin in Detroit with Kimball Customs. I could shout out my sis Donette with Get Dressed Boutique. There's so many different people I can shout out. That's why I put this platform together. That's why I agreed to it. And that's why I got the incredible producers I have that's making this all look good so I can come up here every week, sit up here, talk junk, kick it with y'all. But then sometimes I got to be serious with y'all. Like now on a serious note, I was reading this article about Breonna Taylor. Like, Chuck, I think we could pull that up, can't we, Chuck? I read this article about the email. One of the officers that got wounded sent to all the rest of his fellow officers. And I don't know if y'all read a lot or if y'all pay attention to all of the breaking news reports that come on our timeline when we on Facebook. But this really hit me in a way that because I'm always looking at stuff and I just don't read the article. I try to read in between the lines. And from my standpoint, it was like a call to arms. Because basically, this cop feels like everything that they did was justified. That's why I said last week, let's not let them stand behind the fact that they was executing a no-knock warrant. A no-knock warrant should be illegal, especially in states that allow concealed carry or states that allow to have the stand your ground law. I'm not sure if Kentucky does or not, but I know in any state, if somebody's breaking into your house, it's self-defense. So in the article that I read, it's basically said that the boyfriend reported they yelled out a couple of times, who's there, and nothing was said. So it's kind of like a he say, she say between the cops and them. But this email that this cop that got wounded during the whole thing sent out, to me, being a regular civilian, not political, it looked like a call to arms. To where he was basically like, well, basically, the government in Kentucky, the mayor and all of that are basically demonizing the cops and praising the criminal. And it kind of pissed me off because what was the criminal activity that woman was doing? She was laying in her damn bed sleep. How was she breaking any law? How can you form or fix your face, like my grandma used to say, to even utter those words that they're praising the criminals? What made that woman a criminal? The color of her skin? Or the fact that she was asleep made her a criminal? So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But reading that email was basically him saying, at least from my point of view, was basically him saying, make sure you get home to those lovely families of yours. What about her getting home to that lovely family of hers? How about that? I'm seeing so many reports come out of Kentucky, how they're closing off areas, and it's almost like they basically preparing for the bullshit to occur. I told y'all last week, when they gave her family $12 million, that was the wrongful death suit, which they were rightfully entitled to because you took an innocent life. That woman was asleep, probably after a hard day's work. Y'all kicked her door in. And if I read this right, I don't want to quote anything wrong, but if I read it right, for an ex-boyfriend, just because her apartment was one of his known addresses, from what I'm reading, she had moved on, I think, and was in a new relationship with a different guy. Maybe I'm wrong about that, so don't quote me on that. But what was criminal about what she was doing? And this cop sent this long email out about how the mayor and all of that is crazy for making them look bad because y'all killed an innocent person. And now everybody holding their breath while the district attorney decides if murder charges are going to be brought up on these cops that did that. We've been waiting since March. But now, in the America that we live in, if it was a cop of color, even while executing a no-knock warrant, that walked into a household and shot an innocent white woman, how fast would that cop get charged with murder? Ask yourself that. And then y'all wonder why there's so much outrage around the country with everything that's happening, from the government on down, which leads me to yet another topic I wanted to talk about. This week, the Supreme Court lost a long-standing justice that was sitting on the Supreme Court, and I briefly was reading up on it because I be trying to read so much stuff, just staying abreast of what's going on. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away this week. Now, it seems like the Republicans are in a rush to fill this seat. But if y'all recall, back in 2016, I believe, right near the tail end of Obama's administration, one of the Supreme Court justices passed away. And the same person that's trying to rush and put somebody in the seat now argued that it should be the people's decision. Whoever the people vote into the White House during the next administration, they should vote to seat the next judge. And no less than 5 years later, you're going to go against everything that you just said so y'all can rush job possibly another conservative into that seat. So here's me always thinking further on down the line, and I'm always thinking like at the bigger picture. Let's say they did do that. Now, let's say the majority rules in the Supreme Court, and the majority of that is conservative. So now this president's saying, my people may want me to do a third term. What if that starts making sense to the Supreme Court? This is why when everybody is telling us we need to pay attention, it's time to pay attention. Because rules is changing up right before our eyes, and we so busy caught up on everything that don't matter that we not paying attention. We not paying attention to what they doing right before our eyes. The whole country right now is damn near at a standstill due to things that's beyond a lot of our own control. We at a standstill. You got people being escorted out of jobs when they didn't do nothing wrong. You got people being walked out of their households when they was paying their bills, and their bills were concurring until this president decided he didn't want us to panic. So he lied about something. See, the past couple weeks I've been being real politically correct. But this week I told my producers, I think I'm going to just go uncut and unleash this week. So it's time for me to really start talking about the things that really be on me to talk about. Outside of the different topics that may come across, and some of them might be feeling like it's valid to discuss with y'all. But this week I really want to go into the discussion of this whole back and forth, this whole race thing. And I didn't even realize that I was going to talk about that this week. But I feel the need to, because it's been on me the whole time that I've been recording these episodes. I really wanted to speak on it. Because I have people in my life now who really near and dear to me, who I love like brothers. And they're not the same color as me. So I guess this is to address the other person that called me and told me I'm disrespectful to black women, or I'm selling out to black people, because not all of my friends in Austin are black. I have been being real politically correct the past couple weeks, but this week, fuck it. I might as well give it to y'all exactly how I want y'all to understand something. Understand this about me. And understand it and take this to the bank with y'all. Take it home. Continue to tune in after this week. But I need all of my people that's going to follow me and follow this show to see it and view it with an open mind and understand this. In this country, whereas it could be said we always get the shorty end of the stick being a people of color, if you look at the bigger picture, we get the shorty end of the stick because we haven't accumulated no wealth for ourselves. Every law, every different tax break are made based on ownership. So when you come at me and you say, oh, you selling out because you don't do business with me and I'm black like you are. Let's keep it real. I know 1,000 people that are black business owners. And to be honest, outside of their close friends and a few people that they meet in these groups, and then their business start expanding, how much support do we really give each other? Of course we support each other if it's something with it. Basically, if I had a hair company, if I gave half of my people I know free hair, oh yeah, they'd support the business then. But I saw a meme one time on Facebook that said, your friend will go to you, and because you won't sell them a water that you only want $1 for 50 cents, they'll go somewhere else and pay $3 for it. What sense does that make? So I'm not trying to upset or offend anybody, but what's real is real. I've done business with a lot of different people. I've done business with people that look like me, people that didn't look like me, and guess what? A lot of the times I did business with people that looked just like me. Needless to say, I wouldn't be here right now doing business with people who didn't look like me if that business was successful. So what does that tell y'all? I don't base stuff off color. This show, my friendships, none of the things that I endeavor or I do in my life, I base off color. So to all of my friends that call me, and some of them that consider themselves my friends that have called me and tried to cut into me about my relationships because I have a best friend in Austin who happens to not look like me. But I will say this, I would feel comfortable calling her before I call some of the people I've known for 20 plus years, because that one is proven that she'll move mountains just on my behalf. I don't do that. I don't get off into that whole, oh, this person is this game or that person looks like that, so you should be with this person or you should be doing that with these people because they look just like you. Business is business. We could be friends after the business is over with. So I felt I needed to address that during this show this week, so we won't have to address it no more. We can get back to having fun and enjoying ourselves, because like I say every week I've been telling y'all I'm going to have to give some love to Chuck, because Chuck be back there pressing buttons and he be doing his thing, and y'all, if y'all could only see him back here, like he making sure it stay on point. He making sure that I ain't dragging on y'all end, or I ain't freezing up on y'all end. And this week, you know, I really want to shout out somebody that made Austin worth staying for me. When I first got down here, I told him I would do this today because I was speaking with him earlier. But when I first got down here, my uncle Leroy told me something when I first got down here. And maybe some people viewing that really know me know who my Uncle Leroy is. But I told him something. I told him I would give him a shout today because he did something when I first got down to Austin that made me look at it totally different. And I tell people this, like I try to use jewels that's given to me to give them to other people. But my uncle told me he got the tap on the side of his head, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? What is he doing? So he told me, he said, don't mess with this. And I'm looking at him like, don't mess with what? Like, don't mess with your temple, your forehead, Unc? Like, what you talking about? So basically, he like, when you live in your mind, you'll always live wrong. Don't let your mind play tricks on you. Which leads me back into what I was speaking on earlier. A lot of times, we want relationships and we want that companionship so bad that we tend to live in our mind. Like, we tend to make people what we perceive them to be. Like, it's a lot of people that's going through this pandemic and they went through it solo, so they really want that companionship. But don't make people out to be what you perceive them to be. Instead, try embracing people for who they are. then a lot of times the relationships actually work. But during this pandemic, we got people that, if you really want to get down to the core of it, you got people who never taken the time out of their everyday lives to deal with themselves. And that projects on other people when you're around them. You never know what's going on within you till you take the time to deal with yourself. You got people that's battling things that's going on within them that they never knew was going on because they didn't take the time to sit and actually know themselves during this pandemic. Because we grow every year. So you're not going to be the same person in 2020 that you was in 2015. Nor will you be the same person in 2021 that you was in 2020. It's called evolution, people. So if during this pandemic you haven't taken the time to sit back, get to know yourself, a lot of times you'll project the things going on within you on somebody else. Which is the reason why I had said this week, I'm going to really talk about relationships. But it's so much stuff you can say about relationships that I really want to do it when I have a guest on here, because my point of view is so different that I know there has to be another point of view. Because from my point of view, it's almost like this. It's like, since we started this new thing called the friend zone, it makes it hard for relationships now. Because what was we told back in the days from our parents, our grandparents? You better make sure y'all friends first. That's how you get to know somebody. But it seemed like nowadays, we took that whole word friend and we added a zone with it. Now, that female that we keep down there locked in the friend zone could very well be that one female who's meant to spend the rest of our lives with us. But we get so comfortable with saying they're just a friend that we leave it at that, and we'll look right over them and talk to that person that gives us every bit of the problems that they come into the table with. So that's just something to think about. Ladies, I'm quite sure y'all got that one go-to guy. When everything else is going wrong, when you're mad at whoever your boo is, you call this guy. And he always had the right answers. He always got you laughing. He always making you feel comfortable. You feel more comfortable. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I was speaking on this with somebody. Think about it, ladies. With your friend, that male friend, you'll tell him everything about you. You'll say the uncandid TMI stuff, or like, yeah, I'm talking to you and I'm using the bathroom, knowing you wouldn't talk to your boo like that. But that's a person you're comfortable with. You're comfortable with him emotionally. You're comfortable with him physically. You're comfortable with him all the way around the board. But him you'll put in the friend zone. And fellas, we do it too. We do it too. That one girl, she may be a strong 7 in your eyes. But you'll pass over her, who would bend over backwards and move mountains for you because you chasing after the supermodel because she getting 1,000 likes on Facebook and Instagram when she posts stuff. And it ends up being this repetitive cycle of hurt people hurting people. It's like this whole cycle of hurt people hurting people is the reason why anything that was traditional is not traditional today. Like marriage. I'm seeing so many marriages going to the wayside over this pandemic. And for what? Take it from a person that's single. It's almost like somebody walked up to the side of the dating pool and urinated in it and just told us, there it is. Try to swim away from the urine while you're trying to date. There's nothing out here. So if you do have somebody in your life and they've been in your life for over 5 years, that's a person that's anchored. Which leads me to the point I wanted to make this week about relationships. You're not ready to get in a relationship if you're really not ready to share yourself with somebody. And sharing yourself with somebody don't mean just the moments of pleasure when you just giving yourself to them intimately. It means sharing everything about you. That means the flaws that you feel you have, you need to really work on them. You really need to really work on them and not project them onto that person. It means the flaws that they have, if you see them working on them, you need to accept them like you expected them to accept yours. It means not 50-50, but 100 and 100. This whole I'm giving 50, he giving 50, that's only 100. So that means y'all both half-assing the relationship. The thing of it is just like this. When it comes to the whole relationship things, and I'm not Dr. Roof, I'm not the love guru, I'm just going off personal experience and the experiences of people that I've seen around me. When you're really ready to share yourself with somebody, that means your patience going to be there. That means you're going to want to communicate with this person. That means you're going to want to enjoy moments around this person. But guess what that leads to? That fella or that lady that you got in the friend zone. Because you think about it. When we choose to want to go out, say we going on a vacation or something. And this might get a lot of us in trouble, a lot of people that's in relationships in trouble. But you think about it. When you think of a trip, most girls be thinking of let's take a girls trip with their friends. Or if it is guys that's going to be on that girls trip, it's that homie that, he said he was going to be down there too. So you feel comfortable around this guy, but you will leave hubby or the boo at home because I want to really have fun and I know it's going to be a difference if I go with hubby. Just like fellas, it's different if I go with the wifey. It's like taking sand to a beach. So I might as well go with the fellas and we going to have fun. But you got those female friends that'll be like, y'all going to Vegas? We going to be in Vegas that week too. Well, we got a link. And you had a time of your life, you feel comfortable around that person. So that leads to my point. Who started this friend zone thing? And what is the purpose of it? Because so many of us say, I don't want to mess the friendship up. I don't want to ruin our friendship. But in that very same breath, we'll say we want our partner to be our best friend, our lover, and our everything. So what's the difference? Nobody can explain that to me. I've asked many people this question, what is the difference? What is the difference? You have to ask yourself and be real enough with yourself to understand that person that in the back of your mind, when everything going wrong, who you really be wanting to be around, that you feel the need, I got to pick the phone up. I just got to talk to this person because this person going to say something good to me or this person going to have the right thing to say. Maybe, just maybe, that might be the person you need to invest your time in. Because the one thing that we can't get back is time. Like my granddaddy used to always say, a man with all the time in the world never have no money. But a man with all the money in the world never really had no time. So that means time is valuable. So y'all just think about all this time we've been investing in people who come and go. Like it's a revolving door with the dating thing. You meet somebody, 2 weeks later, they gone. You meet somebody, maybe 2-3 weeks, a month later, they gone. But these pillars in your life been them female friends. That and the fact that a lot of us have too many standards and stipulations to what we think we need. And it don't be what we need. It's always what we want. Like fellas, we want her to have big titties. We want her to have a nice ass. We want her to have a good walk. We want her hair to be nice looking. We want her makeup to be flawless. She basically got to look like she stepped off the centerfold page in a Jet Beauty magazine. And she come to your table with more issues than Sports Illustrated. And then the females, he got to have a good job. He got to have a car. He got to have his own house. I'm hearing a lot of females now, if he got little kids, I can't date him. But yet, you don't want the man to accept you with your little kids. So it's like we come to the table with so many stipulations that it's like the whole dating thing is superficial. And we got some people that may be looking at this and be like, he don't know what he's talking about. I'm speaking from my personal experience and the experiences of the friends that I have around me. Because it brings me to another thing, this whole friends with benefits thing. People swear, and this is just me being real with y'all, and let's be honest, people swear that they can do that whole friends with benefits thing. But here's something that I was taught a long time ago, and I grew up around a lot of women. Like I told y'all last week, a lot of strong women. Like, speaking of strong women, I would be remiss this week if I didn't give shouts to my auntie, Cynthia Lanier. If it wasn't for you, auntie, and I'm looking at this camera when I'm saying that, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the business savvy that I do have. Because I remember working at the airport when you taught me how to handle my business and how to balance my books and how to save money up and how to plan. So I'm eternally grateful to you for that. I had to shout you out because last week when I was running down the names of the strong women that I knew, I forgot to mention that. But as I was saying, when it comes to these relationships, it's like me growing up around the women that I grew up around. The one thing that I did learn is this. When you really want a woman, see, a lot of us get it twisted as men. We get it twisted feeling like as long as we come to the table and we got our pockets right and we whining and dining, then that's what's going to engulf y'all. But the older I've gotten, I've realized the way to engulf a woman is to make her feel secure emotionally. When a woman feels comfortably emotionally around you and she feel like you're going to keep her mentals intact, you're not going to mentally abuse her, verbally abuse her, or you're going to be caring and you're going to be understanding, you're going to be patient, that's when a woman is going to start investing her time into you. But don't get it twisted. It's still some tainted apples in the bunch on both sides of the table. I'm not here to advocate for men. I'm not here to advocate for women. I'm here to say this when it comes to the whole relationship thing. Be ready to share yourselves with each other. If you're not, then be real enough with yourselves to understand that a real relationship is not what you're ready for. The whole friends with benefits thing, like I was saying, to me, that doesn't hold true in life. Because anytime you're being intimate with anyone, feelings are going to come into play. Regardless of how y'all want to take it, regardless of how you want to speak on it, you could deny it, you could downplay it. The minute you get to having intercourse and y'all exchanging bodily fluids and being passionate with each other, feelings are going to erupt. Feelings are going to always come from that. And you could try to downplay it and say, oh, we just friends with benefits. Until you see that man with another woman. Then that friend with benefits just became hubby. Because now you got an attitude. You're going to walk up, make your presence known. You're going to say something out of line, say something slick. And it's vice versa. I've seen it happen both ways. I've seen it happen to a female. I've seen it happen to a male. The whole friends with benefits thing, be real enough with yourself to understand this. If you know you really want a relationship, you don't want to be by yourself, don't go out looking for a friend with benefits, because that's just going to open you up, because now you're having intimate moments with this person. And regardless of how we think, at least I'm real enough with myself to understand that if I'm sharing myself with you, like I got this stand and I can say it. I can say it to y'all. I just feel like if you fuck with me, you stuck with me. Which meaning if you let me dick you once, that's it. We go together. We might as well, because I'm not going to want to do that with nobody else. So I don't do the whole friends with benefits thing, because I'm real enough with myself to understand that that's just not something that's within me to do. And a lot of people apparently don't be real enough with themselves, because yeah, I can just handle that. And I'm going to tell y'all something, ladies. Like, here's the thing. When a guy says, oh, I don't really want a relationship, and you allow that guy to sleep with you anyway, you're basically confirming with him that you're okay without being in a relationship with him. That this is what he's going to get. And regardless of what, I may be old school, I may be raised in a different era, but I was always taught that that is like the biggest prize a woman can give you. It's herself. So ladies, y'all let a lot of guys get off free because y'all give that up basically like it's a business card nowadays. Like, here's this. Call me tomorrow maybe. And it's just like a business card. Because I've passed out plenty of business cards. Some people call. Some people just choose to keep the card in their pocket. I use that metaphorically because I'm down in Austin where there's a lot of casual hookups that happen. And me doing the Lyft thing, I run into a lot of females that's coming from casual hookups, and they have that whole walk of shame to my car, and I guess they be taking the ride of shame on their way home, feeling like, geez, maybe this guy's gonna call me, maybe not. And I've seen some fellas. I'm not letting y'all off the hook neither, guys. I've seen some fellas, hey, they get down, they get that one night stand, and on the female side, she might have had one too many tequila shots, one too many drinks with the girls, might have sipped one too many cocktails, and hey, she wanted to feel good for the night, and you just happened to be the lucky participant. Afterwards, now you feeling like you got something good going. You call the number, go straight to voicemail. Now you're looking at the Instagram she just gave you. You blocked because that was her plan. That was her plan. But if you really want a relationship, try to avoid those situations because there is going to come a point in time in life where you will realize you've given the best of yourself to a bunch of people who really didn't deserve it. And now this week, the 15 minutes of shame, or I should say 15 seconds of shame, because I'm not going to ever give nobody that much time on my show. But my 15 seconds of shame this week has to go to Mitch McConnell. Because of the simple fact of this. How could you 4 years ago stop a black president from nominating a new justice on the Supreme Court? And basically have amnesia 4.5 years later when it's to benefit you, possibly. So now y'all want to rush and put this person in the seat before the new administration comes in. I mean, that could say a lot of things to us as people. Does this president feel like he's already lost the election with how he handled this pandemic? Or is he putting something in play that's going to really affect us? Because there is a such thing as amending the Constitution. I've been in a lot of discussions this week about that, this whole amending the Constitution thing, because it was a time when presidents were allowed to do more than 2 terms. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I do believe it was Roosevelt, after Roosevelt had served so many terms, they changed that law to where only a president can only serve 2 terms before he had to leave office. So that's just something for y'all to think about. Well, why are they trying to rush this new justice in there? Are they rushing them in there to benefit us? Or are they rushing this person in there to benefit them? And that question really goes without say. It doesn't really need an answer because the answer is common sense. When have they ever done anything that was really to benefit us? So I had to hang that hat this week on Mitch McConnell because basically, y'all as a people, they showing us almost every other day that, hey, we can do whatever the hell we want to do. And y'all going to accept this because we got y'all so confused that y'all infighting amongst yourselves on who going to do what. So when y'all leave this show this week, I want y'all to really sit back and think about everything that's going on. Think about your partners if you have one. Or if you're just talking to somebody and it's going good, don't be a self-sabotager. And you know I got to give y'all a jewel every week. So my jewel I'm going to leave y'all with this week is this. Always try to show up and be the best version of yourself. Don't let the representative show up, that person that you know really is not you because you feel like you got to act this way to impress whoever you're trying to deal with. Be authentically you. Show up and be the best version of yourself. You can never lose being the best version of yourself. Like my grandma used to always tell me, and rest her soul, if you show up and you be the best you that you can be, at the end of the day, whether they respected it, whether they like it, whether they leave you right there where you stand, you did your deed. And you could keep living with no regrets. Because I, for one, with everything that I do, from my endeavors with my friends to my endeavors with total strangers, I show up and be the best version of myself that I possibly can. Under all circumstances. And it's a lot that I could have went into this week that I experienced personally this week. But I'm going to save that for another episode. So I'm going to leave y'all with this. Keep doing good deeds for other people, because doing a good deed for somebody else is very much so doing a good deed for yourself. Because whether we acknowledge you for it, whether you get the accolades on social media for it, there's a higher power that watches everything we do. And for those of y'all that just really believe in just the universe, when you put good in the universe sends good back at you. This has been another episode of the Jackson Report. Good night, y'all.